Hello, hello, welcome. Um, it's going to be fun. Everything I'm going to do today comes from Alexandra Cadarso Cano, who's the perennial, or whenever you can get here, instructor at Lark camp for Galician Gaita. That's still working. And it comes from a book that I translated from him, which is called With the Fiddle Over the Shoulder, or Ao Violino, a Violino, Co-Violino, Ao Caro, and Ao Corello. Anyway, all that info should be available somewhere on the chat, I think, or in the bios or the library for the Lark Library, including all the sheet music. I put a bunch of sheet music in there that's from the book, and we're gonna get through whatever of those tunes we can possibly get through in this short time we have. I think if anybody has questions at any point, we'll pause every so often and go over stuff. Almost all the material that we're doing comes from the fiddling tradition in Galicia, which is very unique, or the bagpiping tradition, because the fiddlers often got their various dance tunes they'd play from bagpipers. Bagpipe is actually the most common folk instrument in Galicia. Used to be any pub you'd go into would have a gaita, or a Galician bagpipe, hanging on the wall. And just so many people know how to play it. Even today, after the resurgence of folk music, after Franco, they got rid of Franco, or I guess he just died in the 75, I think. The big resurgence of folk music and pride in their culture. It's a country of 2.5 million people, and they have at least 75,000 bagpipers. That's like 1 in every 20 people plays bagpipe, and I think the numbers are growing. So Kano has written a number of books on the bagpipe tradition. Also, they have a flute tradition that he wrote a book about. They have a little short flute called a requinta that they play in the south of Galicia, usually in a group with 3 or 4 flutes and 1 bagpiper and percussionists. But the fiddle tradition, since the violin really, bowed instruments have been used in Galicia for quite a long time. And when the Italians sort of perfected the violin, it was quickly adopted in Galicia, both for the classical music of the time, which existed and has all along. But the folk fiddling was mostly confined to the blind people who had taken up music as a way to make their livings, and they would get training from other blind musicians, and they called them the sagos, and that's how the tunes that we're going to be played today either come from bagpipers or from these blind musicians. Most notably, the last living blind musicians. There's a man called Florencio from a town called Dos Vilares, and he was alive when the traditions were being reclaimed. I think he only died in the late 70s or early 80s. And these musicians would go from town to town and from fair to fair, and they would play. They'd play for the mass. They'd play for dancing. They'd play for just entertaining people. And there were men and women who did this, and they had their own particular style and their own particular repertoires. And they would often sing these romances. They'd sing and play. The romances were because there was no media in the day. They were the media. They were the news. They would play They would sing about disasters and crimes and very melodramatic sorts of themes. Anyway, it is this week, it's Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. And in Europe, it's Carnival. And Carnival in Galicia is celebrated in some pretty wild and unique ways. It's called Introito. And the first tune that I'm going to play here is called A Farandula. And it is, the farandula, this is from the book, the farandula, let's see, where did I put it? It's the mob. It is the mob or the group or basically the wild rumpus of people who celebrate Introito. They have these people who dress up in wild masks and bells, and they run around with whips, and they whip the populace into a frenzy. And then people after Mass go and they have these wild battles through the streets, especially in this little town of Lhasa, where this tune came from. They throw flour and ants, live ants, on each other. And it sounds like fun, huh? Anyway, some of them dress up as a bull and run this bull through the streets as well. And so what's the word? He says, the crowd, the mob, or in other words, all the participants, this is the farandula, the crowd, the mob, or in other words, all the participants in the spectacle, armed with cowbells and other metal noisemakers, and making an incredible concertada, which is a din, run through the town in a complete rampage. Now, when I first heard this tune, I heard it played very slowly and in a very lovely fashion, so we can start learning it that way. I'll play a little bit of it for you, and then we'll break it up in little pieces. Here we go. Crazy tune, huh? Okay, let's just try this a little bit here. I'm going to see if I can change this screen a little. Okay. The parts are slow. The tune is in 3/8. I'm playing it slow so it sounds like a waltz. It's designed to be a little bit faster. The tunes that are in 3/8 in Galicia are the jota, which they spell with an X, so it's shota, and that's a dance tune. And what is it called? The foliata, which is like a fast hold. It's often sung. It has verses to it. So this is really it's really a jota. So we could play a little bit faster later. But when I've heard all the people I've heard play it, that's a fantastic fiddle there. Viola, huh? Cool. all the people I've heard play it have played it slowly, but I think it was originally when it was written, it had to be fast. So here's the first part. One more. Here's the second line. So here it is all together. Okay. Pretty, huh? Okay. When it goes to the B part, there's got a second ending. So the second ending, it'll be a... So that's going to... let's do it up to this. This much, we'll do the second part. It's to there. Go on from there. I'll play how it goes from there. The whole second part up to there. One more time. Okay, one more time. Sorry. All right. let's just for giggles, let's play the first part twice and then go into this. See how it fits together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 2. There's one little place too that I just hear a little trill. I go where it goes. Just there. You'd probably put it in yourselves. Here we go. And we'll go back up to that place we stopped before. That much again. I'm going to throw in a little word about bowing. If you go to Galicia today, you will see classical players playing, like you know, and they'll use classical techniques. The traditional, the Sagos did not, and they were very kind of rough and rugged, and each one of them had their own style and their own ornamentation and everything like that. That said, a lot of them were single bow strokes sorts of things, except if they're learning pipe tunes. It's sometimes hard to translate pipe tunes directly from a bagpipe and get the similar sound because the ornamentation, it has to be different, and so the bowing is very adaptive. So I think one should feel free to do what works to give the sound that you hear, that you think you would like. So this one, that being said, this one, I mean, one could go, but it really sounds better, I think. It gives it more of the flow, I think. So, okay, let's go to there. We're gonna start with this. That's in the middle of this bit of part. Then it goes. So. I see. Again. One more time and then I'll go on. So go. And then it goes back to major. Let's just do that little bit here. We're going to try, actually, let's try it. Yeah, let's do that again. see if we can start at the beginning and get all the way through. One more time from the beginning. Now we're going to start, just do the last little bit to the end. So after it goes, changes back to major. Yeah. Going on. One more. Let's just do that last 4 bars. One more. Okay, let's do it from that, where it's just to the end. Now we're going to just play it all the way through slowly and see what happens. 1, 2, and here we go. Minor. Major. Here we go again. Sorry. Beginning. Minor. Major. How's that coming?
We do have a question from the crowd.
Okay, what is it?
We're not able to find the sheet music that you may have shared, so could you reshare after this to go to the instructor bulletin board or somewhere?
It went, supposedly, according to Robin, it went to the instructor bulletin board.
Okay, I can double check later.
Yeah, that'd be good. And
I looked.
also the Lark Library. I sent it in there, so
I looked there, I didn't see it.
The library? Yeah, I just looked too. I couldn't find anything. I was looking hard.
oh no, maybe they didn't have time to put it on yet. I don't know.
I have
But
a
it should have been
question.
on the yeah,
In my copy of the book,
yeah.
someone has handwritten in an additional measure.
Oh, I remember that. Where is it?
It's between 11, it's a new measure 12, and there's a 13 over the previous measure 12. So I don't know who wrote it, but it was definitely written in after the book was printed.
Yeah, can you play it that way? And
I don't
so
think
we-
so.
Oh. Ha, 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 ha. Do you have the English copy, right?
I do, yeah. I don't mind learning it the way you're playing it.
It looks like there's missing bar lines because there was originally 6/8 notes in that measure.
Oh, really?
So now there's 9, but it's really 3 measures because they're numbered differently.
That's interesting. I'll check that out.
I
I'll
don't know
check
if you
that
can
out.
see that, but it's
Yeah.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do that again, Jonathan, and
It
talk while
is.
you're doing it.
Right there.
Let's see. Can we? How does this thing decide who to show?
It's
You
whoever's
can
talking.
pin anyone you want.
How do I do that?
You point to their little square, and I think
Ah.
in the upper
Okay.
right
Yes,
corner.
there it is.
Okay, hang on a sec. I unmuted. I muted you. I actually didn't mean to, but I did want to see that.
Yeah, it's right.
Okay. So what is he? Ah. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember seeing Kano play it that way, but it wasn't. And I had learned it the other way, and I Yeah, and he went back and wrote that thing in everywhere. So let's see. So it would go. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah.
Sorry to throw you a curveball in the middle.
No. Wish I had. You know what? He sent me PDFs of everything, but they were the uncorrected ones.
Ah,
So when I was reminding myself of how it went, I didn't put that into my brain. Let's just take a minute and play this up to that point and add that in. Okay, make everybody crazy, but I think it'll make sense. So here's the second part. So it goes before it gets minor. It goes. And then back to major. But you know what? I'm going to have to send. Okay, I will send in a corrected copy of this PDF because you won't have that. Nobody will have that. But it'll be in the recording. Now, let's play it a couple more times, and I'll put that in, and I'll call out where it's going to come. It's just that's what the missing triplet is. So let's start at the beginning. That makes sense? I don't think I can do that. All right, Patty, you had a question? I don't know if I can hear you here. Oh, okay. All right. It had an ask to unmute on there. Oh, that was Michi.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about teaching this to a friend who plays piano or guitar and just watching their heads explode. So how does this feel? I don't know Jota form. Is that a dance form? Like, how does this go?
Well, so if it was faster, it would be like this. See. Two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If that
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
it's all in three for the dancers.
For the
Then
dancing, it would be, yeah, it'd be quite fast. It'd be like, like that.
Opa.
Yeah, it'd be fun. All right. Well, I had a million more tunes than we're going to get through, but let's do a cool Florencio, Muniera de Florencio. It's one of many Munieras that are called Muniera de Florencio because nobody has names for them. Also, in the somewhere in the it'll show up in the instructor bios when that stuff gets there, when that material gets there, is a link to my YouTube channel where I put up music for almost all of the tunes, all of the tunes in Kano's book. So these tunes are all in there. There, a lot of them are fiddle players, a lot of them are played on pipes, and there's some other ones that are sort of orchestrated with a bunch of different things. Anyway, I love playing this one. This is fun. Played a couple times. Muniera de Florencio. Sorry. All right, got it all? Actually, it's pretty easy to play. I'll do the do the first 4 or 5 bars. So it's in D. Thanks, Jonathan, for putting that there. One thing you should note is, excuse me, the keys are different according to what instrument they're played on. So, and I don't think Muniera, I don't think Florencio played it in D. I think he played it in A. I don't quite remember, but a lot of times they'll be in different keys. But they'll be in if it is, it's a fifth up or a fifth down usually, because it makes it way easier. And they were not into technique, they were into passion. So. Just use that much. You gotta pull your third finger, just drop it over. just go on to the second half. It's sort of the same. And when you're going into the second part, it goes like this. You know, I can't get that slide out of my ear, so I always play it that way. And I use a slide at the beginning too. Here's the second part. So. When you're going back in, you always put that triplet on B in there. So, oh, we're getting toward the end. Questions about that one? I find that the styling of those slurs and little taps, that's all that I hear in Florencio's playing, but he's also, oftentimes, when you hear Florencio playing, it would be a lot of double stops and a kind of a wild sound. So with a lot of grit and do it. Let's just, for the heck of it, let's play it twice more. The first time, the speed we've been doing, and then just try and speed it up before we quit. Okay? And I'll tell you what I got on store for tomorrow. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Double stops. Yay. Yay. So we can go over these, anybody who comes again. And then I want to do a Pasa Corredores, which is a walking tune. Oh, and I want to work on Aires de Pontevedra, which is, it's funny, it's listed in a lot of collections as an alborada. Alboradas were tunes. The Pasa Corredores, what I just mentioned, that's a marching tune. It's what you would hear people playing through the streets. The alboradas are when on festival days and fiesta days, the tunes you play in the dawn, because it means dawn tune in the morning, and they're a lot of times lyrical and long with repeated passages and go major to minor. And good. And but this Aires de Pontevedra it's always played as a more lively tune. And then what else I got? I have mazurka that I want to play, that I love, and a couple more muñeiras from, maybe I'll leave you with this. I'm going to play this. I'd love to get to this muñeira from Florencio. Isn't that cool? So we might be able to do that by tomorrow or Sunday, I think. Anyway, any other questions before we stop? General ones, whatever.
Yeah, I may be late to the party here, but I'm wondering, how did you meet this individual? Did they live in the US or did you go to Spain? Or how did that work?
Well, boy, we don't have the time to tell you that, but it was an incredible coincidence. I mean, a series of interlocking coincidences. I ended up meeting somebody who had been a student of his, and I was playing in the Christmas revels in the 2000, and I was interested in this music anyway, so I persuaded the revelers to do a Christmas revels based on Galician music. And I remembered this man that I had met at a folk festival because he was carrying a gaita, just like one I had ordered. And we just stopped to talk, and he laughed. He said, "Oh yeah, you ordered it. They said it'll be ready in a year, but it won't be. It'll take years." Anyway, he said, and I told him what we were up to, and he said, "Well, give me a call if you ever want to do anything, know any more about Galicia." So we started doing the revels. I called him. He said, "Oh, I've got this guy who might come over and teach." And my friend Manny called his friend Kano, who said, "Sure, I'll come if they set up a workshop for me." So I did. He said, and he was also best friends with the gaita makers. So he brought, but by that time we had 6 or 7 guys who'd ordered these instruments, and he brought them all on his carry-on luggage. And so we had a great time. He did this workshop and a couple other concerts, during which time I told him about Lark, and he said, "Oh, I got to go there someday." I said, "How about this year?" And we arranged that. He came to Lark and did another little tour. And he's been back, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times over the last 25 years. More than that, I think, even. And he brought along an accordion friend of his and introduced, and then he started setting up tours for me to go over there. And I would go over there with various musical pals of mine. And one time I even took my kids, and my daughter ended up staying there and living there for 3 years. And so it's been a great friendship over the years, knowing him. And he was going to come to Lark this year, but the current political situation advises us all that it's wiser not to do that until we have some sanity restored.
Well, thank you for sharing this wonderful music.
Good, great. Thanks for everybody for showing up, and I've looked forward to seeing any of you who can make it tomorrow or the next day.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.